The TV is a weapon against all of humanity. The TV is designed to control the mind and tell you how to think and what to believe. When the television was launched early last century, it was sort of introduced in a way to draw people in. Although it may have been considered a bit edgy for the time, it wasn't anything like we see today. And no, that doesn't mean it was better or had positive intentions. It had to be accepted by the masses in a time where there was radio and the printing press as the common ways of mass communication. Anything new is typically rejected by enough people where compromises need to be made in order to pull in a majority so that there is enough energy. Once there is that energy or acceptance, it becomes extraordinarily difficult to go against, in which you may be sort of disenfranchised or, quote, not up with the times. Basically, television would be considered an advantage because you could receive communication in a way like never before. It had to attract people by displaying what was acceptable. Like, it had to meet the people where they were at and then begin to slowly lead them down a path that would literally change society as a whole. Now, once again, this is how it may have been perceived by the masses, not necessarily open-minded free thinkers. Television shows would display strong families and promote the values of the times. Husbands and wives, sons and daughters all together in a bond that is rarely seen today. It would showcase strength and how the family unit, quote, should be. It was something to strive for. It gave hope that you could achieve this perfection, this idealism. So now that you have gained acceptance in enough televisions and enough homes, you can start to slowly insert something different. And what might that be? How about changes to the family unit? Divorce, single mother families? How about drugs, alcohol? All kinds of agendas, pain medications, doctor visits for any kind of ailment when you could just simply stay home. It starts to control your decisions, your values, and teaches you what to believe and how to think in ways that were quite different from the previous generation. TV has sounds, visuals, as we all know. It creates the pictures for you instead of your own imagination. It programs the subconscious, and with enough repetition, will control your future actions. Quick scene changes help to keep you engaged, sort of like hypnosis. And think of things like books, for instance. They don't have visuals, they don't have audio, so it becomes much easier to question or even disregard. And think about all the books that are out there and how much information is just simply thrown in the trash. It is highly likely that if one is presented with written material versus a television program, he will trust the visual programming and not the words on paper. If it is seen on the TV, it must be true. That must be the way I should behave. If that wasn't true, it wouldn't be on the television. And that is exactly why the television can and is used as a weapon. The belief program enters the mind and once accepted plants a seed in the subconscious. Like a flower, it needs to be watered and cultivated, and with enough sunlight will eventually start to grow. And that is exactly how beliefs work. A seed is planted. For example, a divorce on a television program. The viewer may not have the best relationship, but it could potentially be saved. She notices that this isn't just a one-off. There are many television characters now getting divorced over and over again. Now the seed that was planted is starting to take root and grow. Once the peak of that growth is established, it is ready to take action, as in, honey, I want a divorce. This is just one example, but there are likely hundreds or even thousands of examples of destructive behavior that is acted out because of this box people stare at for, quote, entertainment. It's like, well, since the characters act a certain way, that must be what everyone is doing, and if I don't do that, I won't be able to fit in. And that just can't happen. Or If this was not the way it should be and is destructive, for example, broken families, some authority would go on the TV and tell everybody. It just has to be the way things are simply because there are experts out there and they know better than I do. Something on television, for example, let's take the news, for example, could be completely staged, scripted, an event. But because it's on television and the talking heads are saying this happened, it must be true. Once again, an authority figure would go on TV and tell us, right? If a new drug comes out and over time it gets more into the minds of the viewers, even if the viewer said once, no way, that's not for me, because of all the repetition and out of desperation, that viewer will likely consider the drug. A movie that is heavily promoted, a new car, whatever the idea or item is, it doesn't really matter. Most viewers will simply accept because they do not have the ability to stop and think for themselves. Perhaps that is one of the reasons you were told you live on a spinning globe in space. If they can get you to question your instincts or just flat out ignore your senses, they can get you to believe anything. And back to trusting authority for a minute. Is there any wonder why all humans are taught to look outside themselves for answers? That's pretty much a foundation for everything else. It's not like you can go save yourself. You need some supernatural being, like Jesus Christ, for example. Heck, the Matrix puts you in a state of complete dependency right from birth. So right off the bat, you're looking to something else for guidance. The idea of television being a weapon is very real. Can't you see how it has enslaved the minds of society, how it has destroyed the family, and how it violates the right to independent thought? There really is no greater weapon. And what about the future? It certainly looks like there will be a continual degradation of society. Since television, we've seen video games and mobile phones. It just keeps getting better and better. Next, that computer will be inside your body. What do you think of that? But once again, an authority would tell us, right? And that would be on TV because the television is just so important for our survival. We are being tricked. The human is becoming obsolete and there's nothing anyone can do about it. This realm was designed to be just the way it is. Some can see it, most cannot. It is my belief that there is nothing you can do or say to wake up the masses. Future videos will go into more detail about why I believe that to be. But I will say this. You do not have to trust any authority. You do not have to accept what is being presented to you. And you do not have to give consent. If you are listening to this right now, you are likely not of this world. But you must stay strong, true to yourself, because that is all you have. And that may be the only real thing